Alexandra Levine welcomes you to the Alexandra Levine Live Podcast. Today, we've got a packed show, from breaking news to informative topics that will keep you well informed. So, please click the subscribe button to get notified of her upcoming episodes. If you like what Alexandra talks about, then please share the Alexandra Levine Live to others. Alexandra also looks forward to your comments during this episode. Tonight's Alexandra Levine Live Podcast starts now.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. This is Alexandra Levine live with the America's Pulse Network. You are all in tonight with me, Alexandra Levine. Yes, shalom, everyone. Shalom. Thank you to my wonderful, loyal friend, Don Willinger, my man of the tribe in Texas. Thank you so much for following us and many, many others all over the country and the world. We have some major breaking news for you, as we always do, coming from the White House and beyond. Let's put up the first slide. So this is from @RealDonaldTrump. So this is actually a very interesting story that happened. There was a young lifeguard. He was watching this young kid at the far, far ends of the ocean, and he was drowning. And this 16-year-old lifeguard who just saw him from across the ocean because he was in the sand. He said, "Oh my God, this kid is like drowning. We got to go and try to save him." And he ended up saving him at the very end. So President Trump and his son are actually going to be honoring this young man, the 16-year-old. It says, "We're going to bring this heroic young man and his family into the White House with perhaps the boy he saved to give him a high civilian award. Very brave. He deserves it. President Donald J. Trump." And then his son, Eric Trump, wrote, "Give this 16-year-old lifeguard the highest civilian honor. This is truly the best of America. Well done." And I applaud anybody who has children that are lifeguards. It is a very scary business because they're putting their life on the line. But also to the person who almost drowned, I mean, thank God that they're still alive to tell the story. I remember at the age of 5, I fell into the deep end of my pool, and thank God I was like learning how to swim, and I was able to swim myself up to the surface. But my mother was there, and she literally jumped into the pool with full clothes on to try to get me. And it's a very scary moment for anybody. So we applaud the 16-year-old lifeguard for doing a very, what we say in Hebrew, a mitzvah, a good deed. And he will be awarded the highest civilian award at the White House by the President of the United States. Let's go to the second slide. So this is actually something that's even more important. This has to do with the Save America Act. As you know, the Senate is going into recess August 10th. These freaking congressmen get a full month of recess. The House of Representatives, they started their recess already July 24th. But the Senate starts their recess August 10th. People have called for the senators to not go on recess until they pass the Save America Act. So unfortunately, you have idiots like Senator John Thune who's saying we don't have all the votes to pass the full Save America Act. So President Trump is trying to do with senators and the House of Representatives is to incorporate snippets of the Save America Act to be passed in budget resolution bills. It's sad that this has to happen, but this is the only way that the president can ram the Save America Act through. So Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin is working hard with Senate Republican leadership to adopt a budget resolution before the August recess. This is the first step towards getting as much of the Save America Act as possible in a budget bill, funding our troops and helping our farmers. I'm calling on the Senate to get this critical first step done before the August recess, which I said starts August 10th, which is next week or in a couple weeks. This resolution can be adopted at a simple majority threshold. Get it done. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And again, it's disgusting that the president has to go through this whole process. Why Senator Majority John Thune can't round up all of his senators to just vote a full Save America Act, which the House of Representatives is ready to pass. And they want to put it on President Trump's desk. He's ready to sign it into law. But unfortunately, this is the only way that we're going to get any part of the Save America Act in because we have an incompetent Senate Majority Leader. I remind my audience that it only takes 5 Senate Republicans to call to remove Senate Majority Leader John Thune and to have a, quote, vote for a new Senate Majority Leader. I think the reason why they haven't done it is they don't have the votes, which is pretty sad. But this is Senator John Thune, guys, Senate Majority Leader John Thune. He's stalling the full Save America Act bill, so they have to put snippets of it to get it passed. It's disgusting. I do applaud, Congressman Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, many other members of Congress for working to get parts of the Save America Act pushed through. And hopefully this will get pushed through before the August recess. Now we go into segment 1. So segment 1, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. So as you know, Dr. Fauci, he went up to Capitol Hill yesterday. He spoke in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. And of course, the idiot said that, Senator Rand Paul is doing this on purpose to hurt me, to hurt my reputation. He's defaming me. He wants to catch me in perjury. He's obsessed with me. I have gone through this hearing after that hearing, congressional hearings, other hearings. I've answered every question alive about gain of function and so forth, and about COVID. And as my instruction by my dozen lawyers, more than a dozen lawyers that were there yesterday, I am going to plead the fifth and not answer any questions. Now, this guy was, quote, pardoned. Remember, we had something called the auto pen. They pardoned him. And then we found out that the pardon was in 2014, which was when Obama was in power. So they pardoned the guy. But why would they pardon him when he wasn't convicted of a crime? Did they pardon him in case he was convicted of a crime? It's like a would they say an Alfred plea deal, so to speak? You plead guilty, but you don't fully plead guilty. It's ridiculous. So basically what the pardon is saying is that you were found guilty and that you need to be pardoned. But Mr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci, hasn't ever gone to jail, even though he should go to jail. So why was there a pardon given out in 2014? Why did Joe Biden, or quote, the auto pen, give him a pardon before he left office? It's crazy. And the president has the power, President has the power to reverse the pardon. But because he is pardoned under the Constitution, he now has to, he was subpoenaed by Congress to answer questions. Apparently his lawyers don't understand the Constitution, and Dr. Fauci doesn't either. He's pardoned from, quote, the crime. Therefore, he can talk about the, quote, crime that he committed, which we all know he committed massive crimes. I mean, he literally did everything he could to kill innocent Americans to get rich, just like Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri said yesterday. And Senator Bernie Moreno from Ohio used some choice words against him, said, what the F do you think you were doing? And even said, look at the attorney that you have. This is the attorney for Bob Menendez. We know what happened with Bob Menendez. He said, if you have to get Bob Menendez's attorney, you must be in deep SHIT. But, I said on Facebook, and I actually got 1.3 thousand views on Facebook from this post. I said, arrest Dr. Fauci, stop with the dog and pony show. I mean, the Republicans, they just kept coming after him. They were trying to break him so that he would open up his silence and answer a question. Senator Bernie Moreno actually asked the audience if they've been hurt by the jab, if they almost lost their job because of the jab, or they did lose their job because of the jab, if they were called a racist for speaking ill of the jab, will you please stand up? And Fox News anchorwoman Laura Ingraham was behind Dr. Fauci. She stood up. And Bernie Moreno said, Dr. Fauci, can you turn around your seat? This is not a question. Can you turn around your seat and look at the people's lives that you affected? And he wouldn't even do that. And Bernie Moreno said, to his lawyers, I'm not asking him to answer a question, just to turn around in his seat and acknowledge the people's lives that he affected. And he wouldn't even do that. Dr. Fauci needs to be in jail. Dr. Fauci should not have left Capitol Hill with his head held up high. And then there's a picture of him hours later walking and jogging with his wife on the phone, frantic and freaking out. And actually, if you watch the video of Dr. Fauci giving his, quote, statement, his hands were shaking because he was nervous. And everyone's like, doesn't that look like a guilty man? He knows he's guilty. He knows he's screwed up. He knows that he went against the will of the people. And that also he was actually coercing a lot of hospitals and private facilities to push the COVID-19 vaccine, as well as remdesivir, which was hardly tested. It was like a brand new drug, which actually affects your kidneys and your lungs. He pushed Biden's team, I should say, to get rid of the monoclonal antibody treatment Regeneron, which is an antibody, which actually saves lives. And also, he refused to give prescriptions, or he wouldn't allow other doctors to give prescriptions of ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, which has been proven to cure things such as malaria, parasital sicknesses and flu, etc. I can tell you I had the opportunity to obtain ivermectin in 2020. I took it 2 years prophylactically before I got a bad case of COVID in 2022 for a month, but I didn't end up in a hospital. And I continued to take ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine as I had COVID. I had like the cough from hell, but I got through it. I got over it. And it was very hard for me to get the monoclonal antibody treatment. I was in Texas at the time. It was very hard to get it. And if I hadn't gotten it, I think I probably would have been dead. True story. I know I've talked about this a lot, but this is an important story. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. He served in the Philippines from the transition from the Air Corps to the Air Force in Manila for 5 years, working on B-52s, F-35s, which you see today. My grandfather used to describe how hot the airplanes were, how he had to strip out of his clothes and just literally just be in his underwear cleaning the airplanes because they were so freaking hot. But my grandfather was a very healthy man. He had a quadruple bypass at the age of 74. He had hernia surgery at the age of 76. But other than that, he was a pretty healthy guy. Never got pneumonia, never had anything bad. Didn't have kidney issues, didn't have heart issues, none of that. Was born very healthy. My grandfather was at a private facility in Sarasota, Florida called Aviva. My grandfather slipped in his shower and fell and had to get partial hip replacement surgery at the age of 98, which the doctor said to my mother, Debbie, you're very strong and your father is very strong. You guys have strong genes in your family. And if I didn't feel that your father was strong enough to have the surgery, I wouldn't let him do it, or I wouldn't perform it on him. But he performed the surgery on my 98-year-old grandfather, and he was recovering in his rehab facility just fine. And then all of a sudden, my grandfather obtained COVID-19. He was the only one on the third floor that obtained COVID-19, which I thought was very strange. I thought my grandfather got a bunch of false positives. They kept saying, no, he's positive, he's positive, he's positive. So they closed off the entire floor. I couldn't even go see and visit my grandfather. Neither could my mother. And my grandfather's COVID kept going untreated day after day after day. It was like 5 days untreated. They said that my grandfather should take Mucinex and Robitussin. Well, the problem is because the COVID got untreated, it went into his lungs and he obtained pneumonia. Day 7, my grandfather still didn't have an antibiotic in his system. Finally, my mother said, you need to give my father an antibiotic. He's going to die from this. They did. Of course, it wasn't a strong antibiotic. It was amoxicillin, which wasn't strong enough. He should have been on doxycycline. I happened to be visiting my family that day in Florida. I saw my governor, Ron DeSantis, talking in Jacksonville, Florida, how he was opening up monoclonal antibody treatments because he had a great relationship with the owner of Regeneron, who was a donor to his campaign, his gubernatorial campaigns. And I said to my mom, this is what we need for Grandpa. We need to get him this treatment. This will save his life. Now, at the time, you only had between the first day and the 10th day of testing positive for COVID to be able to get the antibody treatment Regeneron. And my mother called the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, yeah, your father's a perfect candidate, but we have to go through infectious diseases, and it's a process. Well, let me tell you something. The process is what kills the people. Because what infectious diseases was doing is it was purposefully making sure that people that they knew needed it between the first and the 10th day didn't get it, that they were, quote, approved 2 weeks after they were tested positive for COVID, which means they weren't eligible to get it. And I told my mom, infectious diseases is screwing the people. So because of my personal relationship with my governor, because I worked on his campaign, his gubernatorial campaigns, I said, Mom, I'm going to personally write, email, and call Governor DeSantis. And I did. And he emailed and called my mother the next day. It was actually the Department of Health under Dr. Kenneth Shepke that called my mom and said, Debbie, what's up with your dad? What can we do for him? And my mom told him the whole story. He said, we're going to have a strike team sent to the rehab center where your father is. It's coming at 10:45. Make sure you fill out this form, because if you don't fill out this form, they won't let us in. And my mother filled out the form, and they came in. They came in less than 24 hours. Not only did they save my grandfather that day with Regeneron, but they saved 5 other lives that day. What we found out is that this private facility actually had Regeneron in their facility, but did not give it to COVID-19 positive patients. And I can tell you, after my grandfather received that treatment, they told us he was up and running, he was strong, he was going to the bathroom on his own, he regained his strength, and his COVID went away very fast after that. I swore to myself and to God that I would not allow my grandfather to die of COVID, that he would not be a COVID death. But what happened was the rehab facility did not take care of my grandfather. They still did not treat his pneumonia properly. So we ended up at Sarasota Memorial Hospital, which murdered many lives. And it was reported that they kept giving COVID-19 positive patients or patients that didn't even have COVID, remdesivir in their drip without them knowing it or without consent. My mother did not consent to remdesivir. And they also put medical fentanyl in my grandfather's drip, medical opioids like fentanyl and so forth, in my grandfather's drip without my mother's consent. My mother had power of attorney, and so did her sister. My brother-in-law was actually the one that discovered that fentanyl was going into my grandfather's drip. I still, to this day, it'll be 5 years in September that my grandfather passed away, that I do not have his full medical records. When I asked, they said it was a whole procedure. My family and I have tried to sue Sarasota Memorial Hospital, but because of the medical malpractice laws in Florida, it is practically impossible to sue and get anything from it unless the spouse of the deceased is alive or the children of the deceased are 24 years of age and younger, which my family's not eligible. And you only get $100,000 as a result of suing. So it's not even worth it. The doctors at Sarasota Memorial Hospital and in Sarasota and in the state of Florida, majority of them do not have medical malpractice insurance. You know why? Because they don't need it, because they get off scot-free. Doctors are there to save lives, not play God. The angel of death comes and takes your life, not God, not doctors. Doctors are supposed to save your life. But what I found out later is Dr. Fauci was literally forcing the hands of these hospitals to put remdesivir into the patients at Sarasota Memorial Hospital, Doctors Hospital, all these hospitals nationwide. This was Dr. Fauci's doing. Dr. Fauci purposely told the doctors not to prescribe ivermectin hydroxychloroquine to COVID-19 positive patients. There was actually a doctor that went in front of the hospital board of Sarasota Memorial Hospital, and the minute he said the word ivermectin, he was thrown out. There's another girl that was, I forgot where she was living before, but she lives like in Charlotte County, which is close to Sarasota County. Her name was Ann Vandersteel. I'm sure everybody knows her. Ann Vandersteel went in front of the Sarasota Memorial Hospital Board in Sarasota County and talked all about remdesivir and what the effects are of it, and how Sarasota Memorial Hospital was commissioned to put remdesivir between, listen to these years, between 2021 and 2023. When did my grandfather die? In September of 2021. My grandfather got the monoclonal treatment in August of 2021, which gave him 1 month extra left to live. But my grandfather did not deserve to die. My grandfather should not have been forced to take 2 shots of the Pfizer vaccine from Aviva because the private facilities were forcing and mandating their residents, especially seniors, to take the vaccine. They would not allow my grandfather to go down and eat dinner with his friends until he took the vaccines. My grandfather was not allowed to have AIDS unless they were vaccinated, and my grandfather was not allowed to see my family unless we were vaccinated. As you know, I am not vaccinated at all. My father didn't get the jabs of death. My mother got the Johnson & Johnson 1 shot because my mother is a teacher, and the teachers union was forcing and mandating all the teachers to take some form of a vaccine. And my mother was afraid that if she didn't get the Johnson & Johnson, they would have mandated her to get Pfizer, AstraZeneca, the other one, Moderna, which had a lot of side effects. One thing about Johnson & Johnson is that is the only COVID-19 vaccine that did not contain mRNA. But I can tell you my mother had severe side effects from getting just 1 shot of the Johnson & Johnson. My mother had a huge rash, red rash on her back that kept growing and growing for 6 months, to the point where my mother had to get laser. She had to go to a laser specialist to laser off the redness from her back. Thank God that was the only symptom my mother had. But I know a lot of friends and I have a lot of family members that have had major side effects from the vaccine. My Surgeon General in Florida, who I love, he went to Capitol Hill and he had the data and everything, and he proved that men ages 18 to 32, actually 18 to 35, who got 2 to 3 shots of the Pfizer vaccine, the Pfizer COVID-19 shot, now have myocarditis. They have brain aneurysm, strokes. Girls that are on birth control that took the Johnson & Johnson obtained blood clots as a result. There was actually men ages 15 above who got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine who have Graves' disease, which means like they have like a tremor. And I watched these videos of people that got the COVID-19 vaccine shots and they were starting to tremor and tremble. And I have a lot of friends that took the vaccine that heavily regret it. There's a lot of people in the music industry that are dying at the age of 34 to 37 because of the effects of the vaccine. My opera career was cut short because I decided to save my life. I was not allowed to perform internationally as a result of the COVID-19 vaccine. They told me in order for me to perform internationally, I had to either get all the jabs or get a PCR test every week, which of course, a lot of those were false positives. And that's putting EU sterile up your nose, which also caused a lot of brain trauma as well, and a lot of infection. It was disgusting what Dr. Fauci and Biden did to this country. President Trump tried to control this virus. He tried to do everything he could. He did trust the advice of doctors and scientists, but he saw Dr. Fauci's game. He knew about Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci working with Bill Gates to try to find cures for HIV and AIDS. Do we still have a cure to this day for HIV and AIDS? I don't think so. But President Trump did Operation Warp Speed to get these vaccines out to originally help people ages 65 and above and people with pre-existing conditions. The vaccines were not created for pregnant women or people that were healthy or teenagers or newborns or pregnant women. That was something that Biden, or I should say Barack Hussein Obama and George Soros pushed through. And when President Trump saw that all Dr. Fauci wanted to do was close the entire country down forever, that's when he said, screw this, we're reopening. And he reopened pretty much our country 2 to 3 months after he locked us down. But he actually made it, he made it so that the governors had, he made it so that the governors had control over their state. He made it a state issue, state to state issue, that it was, and the governors the governors were the ones that made the choice whether they were going to fully close or fully reopen. What pissed me off about people like Larry Hogan is that he did not take the leadership as a governor to say we're all open or we are all closed. What Larry Hogan did is he gave the power to the purse to the county executives and the mayors to decide when it was best for their county and their city to reopen. And he did that on purpose. So he didn't get the blame for his state not reopening fast enough. It took almost 3 years for the entire state of Maryland to fully reopen. Prince George's County was the last county to fully reopen. I was in Montgomery County. It took 3 years for Montgomery County to fully reopen. And the county executive was a piece of crap, and he wanted to mandate everybody to take the vaccine and mandate everybody to wear masks. It was disgusting. Thank God I praised the Montgomery County Council for actually going against their county executive because they knew what he was doing was ridiculous. I personally, what it did is it showed which governors were sane and which governors were insane. And of course, all the Republican governors, they opened up their entire state much faster than liberal governors. Kristi Noem, to her credit, was the only governor that never closed down her state. She never closed down a county. She never closed down a district. Her state was the only one that remained open throughout the entire pandemic. And she was shocked that all these governors closed down their states. She did not think she was going to be the last one standing. But the point that I'm trying to make is that this man ruined the dating scene in this country. He ruined it so that people cannot have children. Now people are going to IVF at the age of 23 because they're all having fertility issues. The men's sperm count is very low. And also he divided families. A lot of families would not go see each other unless they were vaccinated. A lot of people, like I was, dating at the time, this was 2020, 2019. Certain men wouldn't date me because I wasn't vaccinated. It's crazy. And it was very hard for me to find an unvaccinated man to date. Because I said to myself, I would never marry a vaccinated man. That was a criteria. When I was looking for a husband, I was like, I cannot marry someone who's vaccinated. It's just not going to work. I mean, I was nervous. I was heavily nervous. I now keep in mind, I do not fault anyone for getting vaccinated. That is your right. That is your choice. But when you push it on us and mandate us and say, you must do this, why would you go against the science? I can't be near you. You're unvaccinated. You're the problem. Now I see on Facebook, people are saying, finally, the unvaccinated were right. And history will show later on who lives longer and who doesn't. Because I'll tell you, the unvaccinated are going to live forever. They really will. Now, there are ways to reverse the spike proteins that are in the vaccine. If you go to the rainforest, if you detox yourself. Also, I know in Israel, in the country of Israel, they actually created an antidote shot that you can take to reverse the spike proteins in the vaccine. I know Russia's working on some pretty powerful things too to reverse some of the side effects. So there are ways to reverse it. Also, they say the more you get COVID, the more it builds up your immune system. So you can kind of like flush away the spike proteins that are in the vaccine. But if you took more than 3 shots, I would be very concerned. As you all know, I'm in the insurance business. I have people that constantly ask me to write up a will for them. And these are young people, 20, 22, 23. I have people that ask me for life insurance at the age of 20 because they took 4, 5, 7 jabs and they're married with kids and they want to make sure that they leave their children with something because they're afraid they're going to die soon. I know people that died right after getting the first couple shots of the vaccines. This is real stuff, guys. Real stories. There's a big group on X called Died Suddenly. Before Elon Musk bought X, and it was Twitter, the former founder, I think his name was Jack, I'm blanking on his last name, he was heavily suppressing or banning anyone from saying anything bad about the vaccine. Remember, we were all censored. We were all called racist, Islamophobic, xenophobics. And actually, it came to the point where the federal government would come to your door to see if you were vaccinated or not. And if you weren't, they would literally put you on the ground in some countries and jab the vaccine in your arm. Also, people that were getting the flu shot, they found out that the COVID-19 vaccine was inside the flu shot. Then there was reports that there was remnants of AIDS and HIV in the COVID-19 vaccine shots. We're finding out shots like Gardasil, which is supposed to prevent all forms of herpes and STDs, which I found out it doesn't. It's 3 shots, has affected women infertility. Thank God I never took that damn Gardasil. They wanted to use me as a prototype for it when it first came out. But the fact that they were pushing pregnant women to take the vaccine, something that's foreign, something that's unkosher. When you're pregnant, you're not supposed to take anything. And it affected a lot of pregnant women. A lot of pregnant women had miscarriages, or their children were born with birth defects. Or the children that are born are having birth defects now. People said, well, yesterday was vindication because the Republicans literally laid out the facts and called out the evils of what Dr. Fauci did. But I'm not vindicated at all. I don't feel vindicated at all. I will be vindicated when Dr. Fauci's in jail for what he did to my grandfather. I will be vindicated when he is no longer walking free. And then freaking Andy Cohen, who is a producer on Bravo, he gave him a mazel. A mazel in Hebrew is like a good job, like mazel tov, or a congrats, and saying he was a wonderful person, wonderful doctor, did so much. And he slammed the GOP senators. Giving Dr. Fauci a mazel tov for killing innocent lives. He is a murderer. And people are like, well, he's not actually a murderer because he didn't really kill. You know, he didn't actually administer it and kill people. But he did it in a way. He did it in a way that was so vicious. And he actually worked against President Trump to make sure that President Trump did not get back into that White House. He was the cause of the cheating of the 2020 election. I wholeheartedly believe that. wholeheartedly. But Dr. Fauci needs to be held accountable. He needs to go to jail. Now, Senator Rand Paul said he will hold him in contempt because he literally said 100 times he invoked his Fifth Amendment, which was against the Constitution when he did. He was pardoned. He was subpoenaed. He was supposed to answer questions. His frickin' lawyers were there trying to make sure he didn't trip up or say anything that would get him have a penalty of perjury. Or catch him on penalty of perjury. But I will never forget what that SOB did to my grandfather and to so many other lives. Let's put up the first slide. So this is from Senator Ron Johnson. So it talks about ivermectin and how wonderful it is. Ivermectin for COVID-19, it said 100 studies with 200,000 patients. It said ivermectin significantly lowers the risk for mortality, ventilation, ICU, hospitalization, recovery cases, and viral clearance. 52% lower risk in 54 RCTs, 47% lower mortality in 53 studies. COVID-19 ivermectin studies, this was July of this year. And if you can see it, it shows you prophylactics. When people took it prophylactically, I can't read that. I think it's 54%. 54% of people that took it prophylactically, like myself, didn't have any bad risks. Remember how the doctor said, oh, it's a horse dewormer. It's going to turn you into a horse. This doesn't work. Ivermectin got the Nobel Peace Prize in 2015. They're now finding studies are now coming out, and RFK Jr. is proving this, and he's working with the FDA and the CDC to prove that ivermectin actually reduces the risk of stage 4 cancer. Instead of taking a freaking chemo and radiation, if you have cancer, stage 4, take ivermectin. I'm a big proponent of it. If you have stage 4 cancer, whether it's pancreatic cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer, take ivermectin. If you have an infection, if you have a cold, take ivermectin. It does work. It is not a horse pill. Again, these freaking doctors, they know that it works. And you know what the sick part is that illegals that were coming into our country, into the Biden administration, guess what? All those people got COVID-19. They came in this country from Mexico to Texas, infected our country with this damn virus, and they got ivermectin. They actually were greeted with little packages of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Illegals were allowed to take it. Illegals took it. No, legal citizens were not allowed to take it, but legal citizens were. Legal citizens were not allowed to take it, but illegals were, which are not citizens. Unfreaking believable. That's the truth, guys. This is not opinion. These are facts. And if you are one of my viewers that has experienced a bad or had a bad incident where you had COVID and you really needed this medication and your doctor denied you, I want to know. Congressman Andy Harris is an anesthesiologist. He had patients that wanted ivermectin and he wrote a prescription for it. And guess what? The health board in Maryland, the Department of Health in Maryland, they tried to revoke Congressman Andy Harris's medical license. Now, why does he still have a medical license? Or not medical license, I'm sorry, PhD. Why does he still have a PhD? Why don't they get rid of his PhD? Why don't they get rid of his degree? Why don't they get rid of his medical license? Why don't they revoke it? I don't understand. Why is this guy still licensed to practice medicine? Unheard of. But people that called out ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, they threatened their degrees. They called their universities and told them, get rid of the person's PhD or MD. Disgusting. Other people's medical licenses were revoked for telling the truth. My friend, Dr. Simone Gold, was caught up with January 6th and ended up in jail. She's part of the American Frontline Doctors. She saved many lives. American Frontline Doctors saved a lot of people's lives. I can tell you nowadays you can still get ivermectin. There's a website called allfamilypharmacy.com, which has actually been promoted by Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, Mark Levin. I go to that website, allfamilypharmacy.com, and you can get ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. They offer it to you. And it's real doctors that give you the okay for getting it and obtaining it. And you can get refills too. Let's put up the next slide. The act next order, this was a very dropped moment. So Senator Josh Hawley, mic dropped Tony Fauci. He said, quote, "You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You have done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. I hope you will go home and write that in your diary," unquote. Josh Hawley actually was trolling Fauci during the Senate hearing. He said to Dr. Fauci, said, "Since you won't answer, questions about gain of function and so forth, how about you answer this? What color's the floor? What room is this? What color's your tie?" Dr. Fauci wouldn't even answer those questions. He wouldn't answer anything. Disgusting. He was afraid, he was nervous that he was actually going to tell the truth and not lie under oath like he's done so many times. But the fact that he wouldn't even answer what color's the sky, what color's the what color's the room that they're in, what color's the carpet, that tells you how freaked out he was, how he was nervous. Let's go to the next slide. At Bill Brindley, Dr. Fauci just fumed that Rand Paul released his private diary entries because they're, quote, embarrassing and could contribute to his prosecution. Fauci looks panicked. And this is what Fauci said in his statement. Look, Attorney Laura Ingraham was right behind him. He said, quote, "Given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before the committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote." So it sounds like Dr. Fauci's panicking here. He didn't want to answer any questions because he was afraid that he was going to be held in contempt, which he is anyway, and penalty of perjury and put behind bars. Dr. Fauci should not have left the Senate yesterday. He should have been put behind bars. Again, the fact that he's walking free makes me sick. My question to my audience is anything going to happen to this guy? Is he going to end up in jail? Or is it just going to be Senate hearing after Senate hearing after Senate hearing? Honestly, I don't think this will be I don't think there'll be a continuation of the Senate hearings. If I was the Senate, I would just stop subpoenaing these people. Stop subpoenaing these murderers, these criminals. It does nothing. It's a dog and pony show. My friend Nuna said this many times. Do the action. Don't put them on display and give them attention. Don't give them likes and clicks. Just arrest their asses. Arrest them at 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. Federal government needs to go in there and clean house and put these people behind bars. We have seen nobody behind bars that have hurt our country and that tried to hurt Donald Trump. The American people are impatient and we are waiting to see action. Let's put up the next slide. So President Trump wrote this on his Truth Social the other day. He said, "Many more people died of COVID under the Biden administration than under the Trump administration." I said this earlier. Quote, "Operation Warp Speed was a spectacular success. In fact, many say one of the most successful things ever done by an American president because it was so fast. I overrode Fauci on this. His ideas were crazy. Also, I said from the beginning that the virus came from the Wuhan laboratory in China. Fauci strongly disagreed, always trying to protect China. I inherited Fauci, who was there since the 1980s, but with each passing day, relied less and less on him. He made too many bad calls, like on masks. Remember at the beginning, he was an anti-masker. He then switched to a super masker. In any event, I didn't let him shut the country down, although he wanted to. I went the Federalist way and let the governors decide. The Republican governors did a much better job than the Democrats, which is true. Fauci was largely taken out of play, and then along came sleepy Joe Biden, who made Fauci a, quote, king. I called Biden to tell him Fauci was no good, either didn't have a clue or was dishonest. The call was well received, but sadly not acted on. Biden went on to give Fauci vast destructive power. The rest is history. President Trump, quote, Joe Biden, he mandated majority of people to take the jab. He mandated federal workers. He mandated people that worked in hospitals and people that worked in the ER. He mandated young people. He mandated pregnant women. He mandated newborns. I mean, it got to the point where you couldn't go to school unless you were COVID-19 vaccinated. You couldn't get on an airplane. It almost got to the point where they were going to mandate people you couldn't get on an airplane unless you were vaccinated. They mandated us to wear masks on airplanes. Remember that crap? federal law. I have to wear a mask on an airplane. Did it work? No. It got to the point where they were going to fully mandate everybody. It was disgusting. And then people were like myself, got a religious exemption, and people got medical exemptions. And guess what? They wouldn't count them. They wouldn't accept them. In the state of West Virginia now, the Department of Health under a Republican governor is telling everyone that we don't care if you have a medical or religious exemption, we won't accept it. You must be fully vaccinated to start school. This is the Department of Health overriding the governor who wrote it into executive order stating that we're not going to have kids mandated to take vaccines to come to school. Again, some people are allergic to certain things. In the Jewish religion, it's considered unkosher to put a foreign object in your body because it's not kosher. You don't know where it's coming from. It's really disgusting that this is happening in our country and that it happened in our country. But now things are more open. Now we're not mandated to take the jabs. But God forbid, if a Democrat gets into power, we want to make sure this never happens again. And let's put up the last slide. So this is very interesting, which I love. RFK Jr. says Fauci blocked ivermectin hydroxychloroquine because admitting they worked would have made COVID vaccine emergency authorization illegal. Look at that. Remember about the COVID vaccine emergency authorization? Remember that crap? Because Fauci blocked the two main things that helped. He was awful. If he wouldn't have admitted they helped, that COVID vaccine emergency authorization would have been deemed illegal. Everything he did was illegal. That's why he should be in jail. But the reason I went along with this segment is because this is near and dear to my heart. I feel bad for the people that died from the vaccine. I feel bad for the people that are affected by the vaccine. I feel bad for the unvaccinated that were ridiculed for not taking it, that lost their jobs, that might have lost their husband in the process or their wife, that have a family that won't even talk to them, that they couldn't spend Thanksgiving or Easter or Christmas or Hanukkah with their family unless they were vaccinated, that a own doctor wouldn't give them proper treatment because they weren't vaccinated. And remember, when you go to a doctor and they ask you if you're vaccinated or not, that goes into a database. I refuse to answer. I didn't say yes or no. Because the minute you tell them I'm unvaxxed, that goes into a database of not wanting to help you. When you tell me you are vaxxed, then they want to see how many vaccines you get. Then they try to push more boosters. Then they wonder why in 10 years why you're still alive. I feel bad for the young men that are suffering from permanent myocarditis. My 24-year-old cousin who got 4 shots of the vaccine had a stroke at the age of 23. He won't admit he had a stroke, but he did. A stroke at the age of 23. I talk to cardiologists all the time. They told me that the average person that comes to see them is between the ages of 18 and 22, mostly male. 18 years old going to see a cardiologist? Not good. I hope we all learn from this, but I hope we all continue to call Dr. Fauci out. I hope he goes to jail. I will not rest until he's in jail. I will not feel fully vindicated. But God bless everybody that survived this horrible, horrible pandemic. Before we go on our break, don't forget that we have FoliumPX.com. Speaking of detoxing, this supplement saves lives. It's an antioxidant. It's a full body detox, free radical support. It's a toxic heavy metal. If you did take more than 3 jabs of the vaccine, I recommend you get this because it detoxes your body, detoxes it from the spike proteins that are in the vaccine. So please, guys, there's a QR code. Go to FoliumPX.com. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
Well, thanks for sticking with us, guys. I'm Alexandra Levine, live with the America's Pulse Network. We are currently live on about 15 different channels, including Rumble, True Social, TikTok, Substack, Parler, YouTube, X, you name it, we're on Facebook. Please go on our website, americaspulsenetwork.com. You'll watch me live. If you're interested in being a podcaster, please fill out the application. We are taking applications now, especially going into the fall, where it's going to get a lot of news and we're in election mode. And this is the time to be alive. This is the time to be a podcaster. If you're interested in sponsoring my show or the Pulse or the entire network, or maybe 2 shows at once, please go to americaspulsenetwork.com. You can fill out the sponsorship form, and it's a whole process, but we would love to have you as a sponsor, and we would love to have you as a podcaster and be part of our team. I also would like to thank our viewers right now, my friend Donna Willinger, who's been commenting all night, and others. I have a lot of friends that do watch our show that don't comment from all over the country and the world. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. We wouldn't be here without you. So I really appreciate our viewers. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The more you subscribe, the more we can be on. So thank you so much. Now we're going into segment 2, paying respects. Let's put up the first slide. So when I say paying respects, so of course, as you know, Senator Lindsey Graham, he had a memorial service in the Rotunda in DC, and he was just recently buried in his hometown of South Carolina. But who came to pay the respects? The first one was this guy, President Zelensky. As you know, Zelensky actually was the one that saw Senator Graham 2 days before he died. Actually, Senator Graham had just come back from Ukraine. As you know, one of the biggest things that Senator Graham was trying to do was bring the peace between Ukraine and Russia. He hated Russia, but he wanted to bring peace to that region. He wanted us to stop that war, and he wanted to work with Zelensky as much as possible. And of course, he went to see Zelensky, and unfortunately, he died like 2 days after that trip, or day after that trip. So President Trump wrote, "Great honor to meet with President Zelensky of Ukraine. Many things were discussed. The meeting went very well. President Donald John Trump." And it's interesting because Zelensky actually had an interview with Laura Loomer recently, and she talked about that fatal moment where he came to the Oval Office and there was some tumult. There was like a brouhaha between him, J.D. Vance, and Trump. And of course, everybody commented on the fact that Zelensky didn't wear a suit. And Zelensky said, we've evolved from then, we've evolved. Like, we're not, we're grown men. At the end of the day, we shook hands, we forgave each other. And he actually admitted that he was wrong, that I'm trying to think of the word. First of all, he wasn't in a good position to talk the way that he talked. He just sat there and listened. I agree with President Trump there. He didn't have the cards, but also he was very mature that day too. And now to see his maturity kind of come out a little bit, like each day, Zelensky's becoming more mature. Now he can sit down with President Trump and have a civil conversation with him. But it takes a man like Trump to call him out. And I've had to call people out that think they're up here and they're really not. And sometimes you have to take a guy down a couple notches and take them back to reality to realize you're not as up here as you think. A lot of people, I have to give this advice: take the ego down a little bit. I don't want to hear that you've been in business for 24 years. I don't want to hear that you are doing $1 million deals. I don't want to hear that you wrote all these books and that your name is in lights. Well, I've never heard of you. I don't want to hear you're a multimillionaire. To me, that is very arrogant. To me, half of it's BS, because you have to tell people how much you make and and what type of client you work with. That's usually BS. If you have to bloviate like that and be arrogant, you're usually a BS artist. But what Trump did is he took this bloviating, arrogant ass, and he actually took him down to the level that he's supposed to be, to the point where Zelensky was like, you know what, Trump, you're right. You know what, Laura Loomer, Trump was right. I was in over my head. I did talk out of my butt. I was too arrogant. Because Zelensky knows at the end of the day he needs Trump. All these leaders know at the end of the day they need Trump. And again, when you need someone, when you need help, you don't act like a know-it-all. Remember, President Trump is a billionaire. He's built $1 billion industry. His daughter's a billionaire. She's built her own industry. Her husband's a billionaire. He built his industry. So for Zelensky to act like he's the SHIT, he's not. And it's actually good to see President Trump get along with these leaders. I mean, President Trump always did. But to see Zelensky kiss his ass is such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing. Let's put up the next slide. So this, of course, touched my heart because this is the 8th time that Prime Minister Netanyahu has visited the United States since President Trump's been president. It's historic. Netanyahu is, he's got the record for seeing President Trump the most since President Trump was reinaugurated. And as you know, President Trump does have a very strong relationship with the Prime Minister of Israel. We must support our ally. We must work hand in hand with our ally. And Lindsey Graham was a big supporter of Israel, big supporter of Netanyahu. And Netanyahu, he came not only to talk about Iran, but also to pay respects to his friend. And President Trump, Prime Minister Bibi, let's put up the slide again because I didn't get a chance to read that. There you go, thanks. Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu of Israel, along with myself and representatives, had a very good meeting. Obviously, many important subjects were discussed. President Donald J. Trump. And I can tell you, Netanyahu gets along with America great. He gets along with Pete Hegseth. He's doing a lot of work with him. He gets along with Marco Rubio. He gets along with J.D. Vance as well. But Netanyahu has been to the show. I mean, he knows. He knows the players here. And also, there's an election coming up. And of course, people are trying to get rid of Netanyahu, which I don't agree is a wise decision at this time. Now, Netanyahu's the head of Likud. He's actually leading in the polls. Likud is actually the leading movement right now in the Israeli parliamentary. It's interesting how all these left-wing Labor Party prime ministers have been ousted, some to the point where they're getting worse prime minister than ever before. Some are getting more conservative. But it's interesting to see South America and Central America, how they have the most conservative prime ministers and presidents. Same thing with parts of Eastern Europe. But you have China, North Korea, you have Spain, France, Belgium, a lot of these countries that have Canada, a lot of these countries that love the EU, work with the EU, pump money into the EU, and they're turning socialist. And they have terrorist attacks all the time because they allow illegal terrorists to come into their country and take over. And these people have money, so they don't want to get rid of them. It's disgusting. Disgusting. But I did want to say that the death of Lindsey Graham did bring a lot of people together. You see foreign leaders coming for him. So it was a way not only for these foreign leaders to pay respects to Lindsey Graham, but a way for President Trump to finish, or to make sure he finishes where Lindsey was ending, to pounce on what Lindsey was trying to do things in Lindsey's honor, but also to work with these leaders to bring peace. Yeah, I agree with Donald Willinger. Our system is not perfect, but there is not one that is better. I agree. And as you know, Darlene Graham, Lindsey Graham's sister, she took on the role as interim senator, and she's actually running to take on her late brother's position permanently, which, in my opinion, I think is fabulous. What a beautiful, beautiful thing to do. To keep it in the family, but its legacy. So before we go on our next break, don't forget we have our second sponsor, rncstore.com/ALL Richardson Nutritional Center. Again, all natural products here. Guys, this improves your wellness. It helps with cancer. I take a lot of these supplements. They're great. You can mix them with Folium PX. That's the discount code right there, ALL. If you don't put ALL, you don't get the 10% discount. What's beautiful about that QR code, it goes straight to the discount. So you don't even have to type in ALL if you use that QR code. It goes straight to the discount. And of course, the more you spend, the more money you get off. But please, guys, this is a very important website. We have to cleanse the body, cleanse the skin, get some energy back in there. Operation World Without Cancer. Definitely go to rncstore.com/ALL and stay with us, guys. We'll be right back after the break.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Levine. I'm a professional opera singer, actress, TV, and radio personality. Since 2015, I've been a volunteer, a field director, and a campaign manager, learning the ins and outs of the political world. That's why I became a political consultant. My job is to lead you to victory with organization, structure, and the mindset of winning for your district or state. With my guidance and direction, I can keep you focused on the things that matter to the people and advise you on key issues that need to be addressed. If you're a serious candidate that is serious about winning, then book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did.
Well, hello, guys. It's me and Alexandra Levine live with the America's Pulse Network. Segment 3 is a very different segment. It's celebrity gossip. So I was on the Pulse last night with my friend Seth Eisenberg of the Conservative Corner, who hosted, and he gave like kind of this very similar thing to what I'm going to do, where he like puts up slides and then like we talk about it. And it's just really stupid, silly things. So these are some things in the news that maybe you guys haven't touched on or haven't seen, or it's been overshadowed by other things going on in the news. So, excuse me. So let's put up the first slide. So Jared Leto, I don't know if you guys ever remember Jared Leto. He's an Academy Award winner. He's been in a lot of famous movies. He's been accused recently of criminal sexual conduct by 4 women. So Jared Leto accused of criminal sexual conduct by 4 women, including one who claimed she had underage sex with the actor. Now, I'll be honest, this is kind of an old story. I did hear something about this maybe years ago, that, you know, he might have had sex with an underage person. But again, why is it coming out now? And why is this underage, you know, why is this person coming out? I mean, we can't really prove that he had sex with an underage person. I mean, unless there's like video footage of it. But they're talking about something that happened like in the 90s. And as the same thing happened with Russell Brand. Like all these women all of a sudden came out and said that he had a sexual affair with them and sexually assaulted them and all this stuff. Same thing with Chris Noth. Like all of these actors, all of a sudden, these big name actors, they get attacked left and right by these women that come out of nowhere. And it's actually happening, you know, in the political news too. But I mean, I'll be honest with you, Graham Plattner really did what those women said that he did. I can't speak for Jared Leto here. And I'm not a big fan of celebrities either. But why would they be bringing this up many, many years later? Like when I say many years, I'm talking about like from the 90s. My question to my audience, what do you think about this? Do you think you should be held accountable? Do you think they should bring the person who claimed she was underage? What does Jared Leto have to say about this? I haven't seen a comment from him after this. He's probably like freaking out. But again, he's a big name actor. He's an Academy Award winner. He's been in some pretty great films. He's a very good actor. I think he's on like a series right now. So again, you could have a great career. Everything's going your way. And all of a sudden you get this and then people distance themselves from you. My question to my audience is how many celebrities and directors are going to start distancing themselves from Jared Leto? And let's see what Jared Leto is going to do. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, no. Nope, not that one. That's later in the show. We have that one, and then we have, yeah, there you go. So this one's really interesting, and I've been bringing this up a lot and talking to a lot of women about this. So moms over 40 are now more common than teen moms for the first time in history. Anne Hathaway right here, as we see, she's pregnant for the second time. She's 43 years old. So women over 40 are now giving birth at higher rates than teenagers in the United States. The 40 to 49 age gap has seen a 24% jump in birth rates over the past decade, driven by financial stability, career goals, and better fertility treatments. Teen birth rates have dropped to record lows in the same period. Some people think waiting is the smart move, while others believe younger is better for raising kids. What do you think is the right age to have a first child? Well, I can tell you that COVID, again, really screwed up the dating scene. Again, we had 3 years of we couldn't date anybody. We couldn't really, get married because everybody was afraid. Now, people that were married during the COVID-19 pandemic, because they were stuck at home all day, COVID babies were popping up everywhere. I mean, people were getting pregnant left and right because they were stuck at home with their husbands all day. What do you do? But I can tell you, I've talked to a lot of nurses, and they say that they have, seen a lot of women come in at age 40, 42, having the births for the first time, vaginally, not cesarean, but vaginally, and all their babies are coming out healthy. Sometimes, when you have a baby at 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, it's true, the maturity level is not there. There's no real booklet on how to be a good mom or a good dad. It's instinct. But in my opinion, I think it's smarter to wait. I know they say that the women are at higher risk when they're between the ages of 35 and above. They do recommend that you do freeze your eggs at the age of 34. It is a very expensive process. It's like a $15,000 process. And you don't just freeze one egg, you're freezing, a bunch of thousands of eggs, maybe millions of eggs. It's a very expensive process. And then you have to make sure that you have a receipt of your eggs and how long you can keep your eggs frozen. You're supposed to keep them frozen forever, but you never know. The clinic could die or God knows what. I know a lot of people that froze their eggs and their sperm before they took the vaccines. So when they would go to have a child, their child would not be, of a vaccinated, sperm or vaccinated, woman. But I know a lot of friends that are having their first and second child at the age of 43, 45. People are having twins at 48 for the first time, and their babies are perfectly healthy. So again, my question to my audience, do you recommend waiting till you're later to have kids, or should you have kids at a younger age? They do say it is easier to get back into your figure when you have kids at a younger age. It is harder when you're older and you're trying to get back into your figure. I don't recommend gaining 40, 50, 60, 70 pounds when you have a baby like some of these mothers do, and these crazy ass doctors tell you to do that. You really should only gain about 20 to 25 pounds each child. Now, if you're having twins or triplets, that's a whole different thing. But you really shouldn't gain above 30 pounds because you're gonna become pre-diabetic or get diabetes. And again, it's your body. Like, it's very hard to take off the weight, especially if you're older. I do recommend if you're 40 years old trying to have a baby to try to, you want to be trim before you have that baby. You don't want to be 160 pounds having your first baby because then you'll be 180 pounds or 190 pounds when you're pregnant. And that weight is really hard to take off. So in my opinion, it's to the person's discretion. But I do believe that if you are a young person and if you found your soulmate and you're dating and, you should not have this mentality, well, I'm young, I don't really need to get married now, or I'm young, I don't really need to have kids. And I talk to 23 to 25-year-olds all the time. And I tell them, look, in a blink of an eye, you'll be 30. Another blink of an eye, you'll be 35. Another blink of an eye, you'll be 40 with no children. If you want to have children, if you're one of those people who want to have children, you want to do it naturally without IVF and fertility treatments and all this crap, you want to do it naturally, the younger you have children, the better it is. If you're 40 years old and your spouse, you're healthy and your spouse is healthy, try to do it the natural way. I also recommend that you and your spouse do get tested before you get married. Get tested for everything. Get tested to make sure that you don't have fibrosis, that you don't have cysts on the ovaries. Get your man's sperm checked. Make sure that his sperm is normal, because what we're finding right now is a lot of men, especially that live in the northern area, have very low testosterone. And if you are married to a man or dating a guy that took the vaccine, chances are his sperm count is very low. So it's very important to get the sperm count and to check to see if the sperm is normal or abnormal. And there's many different ways now. I mean, the medical field is very advanced on how to have babies. And I know people that do adoption and then they end up pregnant 2 years later, a year later. I know people that have babies through a surrogate and then they end up having their own kids. But the biggest, I would say the biggest deterrent for not getting pregnant is stress. The more stress you have, the least likely to get pregnant. You got to relax. You have to relax. You have to be stress-free. Your environment has to be stress-free. You can't drink a lot when you're trying to get pregnant. You can't be on a lot. You actually, I found out you should take, or it's actually helpful to take GLP-1s when you are trying to have a baby. I know some doctors will tell you no, but GLP-1s actually make you more fertile, especially if you're older. The only thing about GLP-1s is once you get off of them, it's, you got to get back on them right away or you'll gain all the weight back. So it's that up and down, up and down. And you can take GLP-1 supplements. You don't have to take the injections, even though the injections do work faster. And they say it's better to take tirzepatide than Ozempic. Ozempic has a lot of freaking side effects, but they're both semaglutides. But like I said, if you're really interested in having a child and you're dating someone you're 25, don't wait till you're 35. Don't wait till you're 40. It will be harder. The sooner you do it, the sooner you get married, the sooner you have kids, the better. Don't worry about the money thing. I know everyone's like, oh my God, I have to be a millionaire. Money comes and goes. You can be rich one day, poor the next. You can be poor one day and rich the next. That's the problem too in society, is that people feel they have to be millionaires or multimillionaires or have children. That's not the case. Or none of us would have children. Not everyone is a millionaire, multimillionaire, billionaire. It doesn't work that way. When you have children, it propels you to do better in life. It propels you to succeed more because you want your children to succeed. You don't want to see your children suffer. Especially if you, the parent, grew up in a household that you never suffered. You want to give your children the American dream. You want to give them a good life. Another story that I didn't mention here is there's a woman, her name is Knots Loudon, Knots Loudon, what am I talking about? She's a Knots Landon, I can't remember my own writing, Knots Landing icon. So there was a show called Knots Landing, and she was an icon. She's an old woman named Donna Mills. She's 85 years old. She decides to open up her first OnlyFans account. As you know, the owner of OnlyFans, he I think he committed suicide. But I can't believe OnlyFans is still going on. I can't believe they allow an 85-year-old lady to go on there and strip naked or whatever she's going to do. But this actress, this Knots Landing icon, her name is Donna Mills, and she looks great for 85, by the way. I didn't have time to put the picture up, but she looks great. I mean, she's had work done, I can tell you. She's probably had her boobs done, who knows? But she is 85 years old, and she decided to have her own OnlyFans account. I have friends that call it OnlyFarts. I do have a friend of mine who's on OnlyFans, and she does very well financially. A lot of people go on OnlyFans, and they do very well financially. But my question to you is, at 85 years old, should you be on OnlyFans? Like maybe as a side gig, but there's people that do it for their livelihood. There's a lot of actors and actresses that got screwed because they decided to take the jab, like Drea Matteo, who was she played Adriana Lacerva on The Sopranos. She got an OnlyFans account and it paid off her mortgage and it paid off her car because she opted not to take the jabs. A lot of actors and actresses got screwed because they decided not to take the jabs. A lot of singers got screwed because they decided to take the jabs. Also, another top story in the news, I don't even want to discuss it because it's horrible. So there's a congressman here in Ohio who I like a lot. His name is Max Miller. He's Jewish. Does a lot for the Jewish people. He's in a very conservative area. He's the incumbent. And I think there's like 2 or 3 people running against him. He was married to the U.S. Senator Bernie Moreno's eldest daughter. Her name is Emily Moreno. They got divorced recently. I think their divorce was finalized a year ago. They have a 2-year-old child together. And now Emily Moreno is coming out and accusing her husband, she's done it before, of domestic abuse and assault while they were married. She accused him of throwing hot water on her, assaulting their daughter, physically abusing her. And I'm like, why is this happening? Why are the Democrats stooping so low to rehash this and bring this up again? Now, I don't know if Emily Moreno personally came out with a recent statement about if she was abused from her husband or ex-husband. But I mean, if I was Bernie Moreno, I'd try to shut the crap down. We want to keep Max Miller in there. We don't want to give that seat up to the Democrats. We don't want him to lose his primary. If he is, I think he's being primaried now. But the alternative is awful. The alternative is really bad. Why are the Democrats throwing this at him? It's a terrible Democrat tactic. And if his ex-wife is a part of this, shame on her. You got your divorce. Maybe you felt you didn't get enough money from the divorce. I know you don't have full custody of your daughter. If that's something you're trying to obtain, and throwing this shade out will get you to obtain full custody of your daughter. I mean, that's what an appeals court is for. Why throw out your dirty laundry to the country, to the nation? Now, I don't know what happened behind closed doors. It sounds like they had a very bad fight, and Mr. Miller probably didn't control himself. Maybe he didn't mean to throw the hot water at her. Maybe he just meant to, like, it sounds to me like there was a kettle on the stove, and the tea was going, it was ready to, it was boiling, and then he just took the tea from the stove and threw the water and accidentally hit her. I don't know, I wasn't there. But like I said, I've met Max Miller, very cordial man to me. I don't like it when people get divorced. Sad. Like the end of an era, end of something beautiful or special. Because like you think about like walking down the aisle and all the money that you spent for the wedding and the pictures and the wedding videos, and you can't share it because you're not married anymore. Hopefully Max Miller will find another woman if he so desires. And hopefully Emily Moreno will find a man that I guess she appreciates or supports more. But for this to be brought up, and the election's in November. I know, what am I talking about? Like, God, my brain, because I'm thinking Florida. He already won the primary. He is the Republican nominee. And he is the incumbent. So yeah, they're trying to throw the kitchen sink at him in November or for November, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting that they would throw this. Why are they trying to get rid of him? Why are they trying to get him out of Congress? Not a smart move. Not a smart move at all. So let's go to the next slide. There we go. So this has been circulating around. So of course, I know both of these men very well. Congressman Brandon Gill is from Texas. He's a young guy. He's one of the youngest guys in Congress. I think he's like not even 30 years old, or maybe he is in his early 30s. He's married to Dinesh D'Souza's daughter. So he's Dinesh D'Souza, the famous filmmaker's son-in-law. And as you know, Dinesh D'Souza is great, conservative, kicks butt, loves Israel, supports the Jewish people. Brandon Gill is doing everything he can to get Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and all these damn Somalis out of our country. He doesn't believe that, she came here legally, and we all know she married her brother. Let's get all these Somalians out of our country. And he's up and coming. He is constantly on TV. He constantly fights for his constituents, the American people of Texas and beyond. And I totally support this ticket. I'm not a big fan of J.D. Vance as I am Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is seasonal. He's been there. I know a lot of people think he's a rhino because he said he formed the Gang of Eight, or he was a part of the Gang of Eight. But I can tell you, Marco Rubio does not support amnesty for illegals. I can tell you that. But Marco Rubio is one of the most pro-Israel senators I've ever seen in my lifetime, and the most pro-Israel Secretary of State we've ever had. And when you want to be the president of the United States, you have to support our biggest ally, Israel. We can't have a J.D. Vance who flip-flops or supports the vision of the alt-right of our party. I'm sorry. But my question to my audience, Donald Willinger likes the idea, but to everyone else, do you support a Rubio-Gill 2028 ticket? Make America America again? Now, a lot of people were saying that maybe Don Jr. will run, maybe Eric Trump will run. How does everybody feel of the president's children running for president? I know Don Jr. wants it real bad. I wouldn't be surprised if Barron Trump won. Not won. Well, yeah, won. but ran in 2044 and won. I think Barron Trump will have the last word out of everybody. I've always said that. Because of what happened to him. He was completely ridiculed and destroyed, or he has been, by the Democrats and the Iranian regime. They've threatened Barron's life so many times. But I think this would be a really good ticket. I like this. I like this circulating. I'm going to continue to circulate it. It's funny because I have a friend in Maryland, and his name is Brandon Gill, and he's Tim's friend actually, and we put up like memes with him next to Marco Rubio and so forth. And I always say, "Oh, we got Congressman Brandon Gill with us," and his name is really Brandon Gill. It's spelled the same way too. But it's hysterical that, you know, people are talking about the 2020 election. We're still not even done with these midterms. In my opinion, I would stop talking about 2028 and focus on 2026, because we, at this point, we don't even know if we're going to win the House of Representatives again. Because if the House of Representatives goes to Hakeem Jeffries, we're screwed. They'll impeach President Trump, and guess what? The Senate will probably vote to get rid of him too, because they, quote, don't have the votes to keep President Trump. And Senator Jonathan will do everything he can to get rid of Trump because he hates him, Biden. But he hates him. I'm telling you, he hates him. So let's go to the final slide of gossip news. So this is disgusting. So the Mexican president, Claudia, who's Jewish, by the way, announced that she formally recognizes Palestine as a state. This is a Jewish Mexican president. She's got Jews that live in Mexico, and she's formally recognizing Palestine as a state. Now, can people tell me where Palestine is on a map? Please show me, because I don't know. What's the capital of Palestine? According to Rashida Tlaib, we have Palestine. According to the Squad, we have Palestine. Palestinian people, they think they have a Palestine. But where the hell is it on a map? What's the capital? Who's the prime minister of Palestine? Who's the president of Palestine? Doesn't exist. This is disgusting that a Jewish Mexican president would formally recognize this. That's why I say all the time, hashtag not my Jew, hashtag not a true Jew, hashtag not a real Jew. I've been saying that for years. My Jexter organization, we started that. Hashtag not my Jew. This woman does not represent the Jewish people. If I was a Jew living in Mexico, I would leave, or I would force her hand and get her out, remove her from office, have her removed from office. For her to recognize that Palestine is a state when we all know it's not. How she is turning, or how she's trying to turn Mexico into a socialist country, into a country that recognizes terrorism. This is disgusting. Again, celebrity gossip like no other. But it's not just gossip, guys, because this is real stuff and we can't ignore it. I bring it up because I know that a lot of this type of news has been thrown under the bus, and there's a reason for it. The mainstream media, George Soros, they don't want you to pay attention to this. They don't want you to pay attention to the things I just mentioned earlier. They want you to focus on other things. But this right here is important to pay attention to. Because I say coming soon to a country near you. So as you know, we do a lot of promos on my show. And as you know, I am a big fan of this lady, Carrie Mullins. Her son, Denver, he died in a motorcycle accident. And we're doing everything we can to honor him and honor his name. The poor woman, it's been very hard for her. But they're having a big event in honor of him. It's going to be Saturday, August 8th. It's a bull roast. It's called Help Keep Denver's Legacy Alive. Legacy built to protect riders. 4 minutes changed our lives forever. Denver was 21 years old, a proud diesel mechanic and motorcycle rider with a heart of gold. The legacy lives on through this foundation and through you. We are his voice now. Proceeds benefit Denver's Legacy Foundation, Inc. at $60 per person, ages 18 years and older. It's their second annual bull roast. It's from 7 to 11 p.m. at Hawks Pleasure Club in Essex, Maryland, which is it's in Baltimore County. Every ticket includes entry into a drawing for steamed bushel of crabs. shrimp, 12-pack of beer, 12-pack of soda. A great meal, great company, great cause. I can tell you I've been to a lot of their events and their causes. They get a lot of people out there. A lot of people donate a lot of money. They have silent auctions. You guys have to make a donation. Only, I think there's less than 160 seats available. This event sells out very quickly. We love Denver's mom. We love Kerry Mullins. We love Denver. I never had a chance to meet him personally, but I know he was a great man because he has a great family behind him. And we have to keep his legacy alive. And Tim and I are working very hard to keep his legacy alive. And we got to protect our writers. I agree with her. We have to protect our writers. So please, guys, go to this website and you can Instagram her, go on her Twitter feed. I think she accepts Cash App, and Venmo, and drop the $60 plus and make a nice donation to their family today. And as you know, we are in campaign mode. As you saw my commercial, I am a political consultant. I own my own political consulting firm. And one of my clients and friends and colleagues is Republican nominee for Baltimore County Council, District number 9, Tim Fazenbaker. He is having a huge event as a thank you event to everyone who has helped him with his primary win, as well as volunteers. We want to give back to you, and also business owners. He's going to have a lot of business owners at his function. So please, guys, go to this QR code. It's timfazenbaker.com. Excuse me. I've been drinking a lot of seltzer. It's making me burp. Go use the QR code, guys, today and donate. You can donate to $6,000. That is the maximum. And let's put up the QR code for the event, David Sherrod. There you go. Tim Fazenbaker for District 9. We have tiers. The general admission is $56. Then we have multiple sponsors. The Reagan sponsor is $106. We have the presidential sponsor, which is $6,000. And then we have a sponsored tier in between, which is $2,500. That's on Eventbrite. But if you click on my QR code, it takes you directly to Eventbrite. The event is Thursday, August 6th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Fountain at Drug City. So the event is inside of Drug City. You go up a flight of stairs, and it's in a very intimate private room. We actually had an event similar in 2022, and it was awesome. It was a packed house. It seats about 25 to 50 people comfortably. And it's just it's going to be a very small, intimate moment, a thank you moment, and also thank you to the business owners as well for helping and supporting Tim and getting him over the hurdle. And there will be some elected officials there as well, and some people running for office. So please, guys, you want to come. This is in the Dundalk area in Maryland. I'll be there. A lot of people that have been on my show will be on there. A lot of people that we promote will be on there. So please, guys, make it your business to go. And if you can't go, make a donation anyway. If you don't live in the area, or if you're going to be away on vacation, click on that QR code, make a donation to Tim, not just on his event, but for his campaign period. And then, of course, we have my friend Julie Spivey Perry, who is running for CD10 in Virginia, congressional seat. This is a seat that is in a purple district. I don't even know her other opponents. Nobody does. She's got the RNC of Virginia behind her. She's got Virginia caucus behind her, Virginia GOP. She's got a lot of people in the Republican Party there behind her. She's an American First girl. Please, guys, donate to her. Put her in office. She's currently in early voting right now. And we got to get her. I mean, her primary election is August 4th, so it's coming up. So if you haven't gone and early voted for her, we want it too big to rig. She's running a grassroots campaign. Please go and support her. Vote for her. If you do a mail-in ballot, do a mail-in ballot for her too. And then don't forget, Republican nominee for U.S. Senate, our friend Justin Murphy. He has been all over the place. I will be interviewing him on the show August 27th, so you don't want to miss that interview. We're also featuring we're broadcasting his town hall live on August 13th, which is a Thursday. So I will be off that night. I'll be off the 6th of August and the 13th of August. I'll keep you guys posted to remind you, but we will be broadcasting live from his town hall and some of his debates and other events that he's doing. We love him. He needs money. Everybody needs to donate to him. He's running against a terrible incumbent. We need to put this wonderful person in office. And of course, we have our friend from the Jersey Shore, Damon Galdo, who is the Republican nominee for New Jersey Congressional CD1. He is, oh my God, busy every night. Jack Brengan is actually his campaign manager. Elena Barber's working on his social media. And, you know, he is just going to be, he's been touring around all over the state, all over the district with Justin. And he's like literally booked like every single day. Like every Monday he's booked. He will be back on the Jersey Shore. He will let you know his schedule. Mondays he'll be available, and he'll be moderating the pulse when he can. But we got to give to these men. We have to get conservatives in office. We got to flip these seats Republican. Even though they have a crazy ass Democrat governor who should be in jail. She's now covering her butt, exposing election integrity, which is like a laugh, because she's the cause of the problem. There's a lot of instances where you have Republican governors and Democratic senators and Democratic governors and Republican senators and Republican congressmen and Democratic governors. So we got to put the right people in office, guys. We got to flip these seats. Make sure you donate to Damon Galdo and watch the show, The Jersey Shore, Monday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Also, don't forget, we do have The Pulse every Wednesday night from 8 to 9:30. The Pulse is usually hosted by myself, Seth Eisenberger, Damon Galdo, and we have 4 other people involved. Elena Barbara is taking a step back a little bit from the Pulse to help Damon Galdo with his social media. As I said, we are in campaign mode. So the Pulse is going to be a little bit different. Sometimes you'll have myself and someone else on there, or just one person, or maybe 3 people. It'll be a little bit different every week, just because it has to do with availability, because we're all busy and we're all in campaign mode right now. But the Pulse is strong. It's going strong. We love the Pulse. We love what the show stands for. But don't be surprised if you see, a difference in the shows going forward. And don't forget, we have Constance Sitzel and Jack Brangan, the New Jersey State Assembly show. They're on every 2nd to 4th, sometimes 5th Tuesday of the month. And of course, I'm on every 1st to 3rd Tuesday of the month and every Thursday, except when I'm not, because I'm campaigning or I'm at an event. You'll have someone fill in for me, or I'll have a repeated show. Again, thanks to everyone for watching tonight. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, we are live on about 15 connections. Thanks again to my audience. I will be back on Tuesday night. I can tell you I have some great guests coming on in the next couple of weeks. So I will keep you posted and abreast on that. Thank you guys so much for watching. And the reason you listen and the reason you watch is you are no idiot.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up, because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, Elena, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution, because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Alexandra, thanks you for watching tonight's Alexandra Levine Live podcast. See you at the next packed show, from breaking news to informative topics that will keep you informed. So please click the subscribe button to get notified for upcoming episodes. If you like what the Alexandra talked about, then share the Alexandra Levine Live podcast with others. Alexandra also looks forward to seeing you on the next upcoming episode.